Halloween
Forever.
All right, Steve, I know that normally I have some sort of joke, some sort of shitty pun one-liner at the beginning of this, but I don't this time. And the reason is in honor of this Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff. I just want to remind everyone that in a movie that I watched this past week, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child, Freddy says, "Bon appetit, bitch." Like, I just want to remind everybody that I thought that's funnier than any joke that I could ever say. Welcome, boys and ghouls, to a very fucking weird mini-sode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Steve, the champ.
Steve is the champ. This is just it's disconcerting. I'll put it that way.
Yes.
We're going to 2 consecutive months rather, of Steve being the champ, holding that fucking belt high up over his head. I saw him at Giant Eagle. I saw him with a whole damn fucking cart, a whole buggy full of chip chop ham and soju, just fucking spinning around in circles, was swinging his belt around, going to all 4 corners of the store, standing on something, just holding it above his head. And now we're going into June, and the potential for a three-peat is disconcerting. It's disconcerting. But before we do that, we got a couple more episodes. We actually got 5 Mondays in the month of May. So we got a little extra Monday before the first Monday in June, which is when we do our showdown topic. And if you're new to the podcast, I'll explain all that nonsense to you in a hot fucking sec. Before we do that, I want to remind everybody that what we're talking about today, Steve's wilding out. He's drunk with power
and other things
and soju. And he picked a movie. Is it Mahakaal?
Mahakaal is
Mahakaal from 1994. I also saw 93. Maybe it was released in India. Anyway, this is a wild ass Bollywood ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street, and also maybe a ripoff of 5 other Western horror movies as well.
Yes.
It is fucking bonkers. I was last night, and listen, I was very stoned when I was watching this, but I felt like I was just smoking a little bit of that grass, like I'm prone to do when I'm watching, especially a flicky like this. But I could have swore I was fucking on acid watching this movie. It was so disorienting, and just it felt like it went on forever. We'll get into it. It's fucking wild, guys. We'll talk about that hot sec. Before we do that, before we talk about what we got coming up here any further, I feel that it's appropriate to talk about the beers.
Yeah,
that's usually what we do, right, on this here podcast. Steve, what are you drinking? You drinking beers? You slugging soju on this the day of our Lord? Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon.
I'm definitely disrespecting God today. So I'm doing a little honoring of Megafer, who is not on the show today. She's off doing her business things. So I'm doing a Megafer of having a garbage and then a good.
Okay, all right.
So my garbage is Hard Mountain Dew Baja Blast Pineapple.
Wait, there's so much on that can.
I know, it's so crazy.
So much to digest. Also, you held that up, and for a quick sec, I thought that was some DuckTales shit. Doesn't it kind of look like a duck?
Yeah, it's hard to tell what the hell's going on here. It looks like it's just the Santa Ana winds or some shit going on, and it's also bringing pineapples with it. It's a typhoon with pineapples. I have no idea what's happening.
I wonder if Mountain Dew finally hired like someone from their key demographic, which I assume is meth addicts, to design their labels, because that's what the fuck that looks like.
Well, have you seen the other Hard Mountain Dew labels? They all look like this. I've
avoided them like the plague.
Well, you're missing out. The other ones are a shark and a wolf, and it's definitely all of the demographic.
They're all basically the same guy who designs the decals on Ben Schwartz's character's car from Renfield. Is who designs the labels for Mountain Dew.
So
it's just a wolf doing cocaine.
Yeah. So I have that, and also just this nuclear yellow color.
that looks like straight up dehydrated piss.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worse than dehydrated piss. You don't get the full. There's a green tinge to it.
Really?
Well,
literally, I guess that's on brand, right?
Yeah, it literally looks like the fucking Ninja Turtle ooze.
Nice. Now I'm back on board.
Yeah. And then I have a good. I have a good though. Nitro Rouge.
Oh, there you go.
Castile Nitro Rouge. Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, just a little nice one.
Yeah, I'm going Belgian as well. Actually, it's American beer, Belgian style. And I guess I'm doing trash things here as well. But I'm not. The trash thing doesn't have booze in it. I'm just got a good old squirt. I'm just saying, we haven't talked about squirt on the show. I grabbed myself a 12-pack of zero sugar squirt. Been slamming. Friday night, I was watching. We were texting a little bit. I was watching Joe Bob, the last drive-in, the half season finale. I think they're going to take like a month off. And I was watching, kind of alongside my brother who's lives in Nashville. He's watching this weird both movies he had never seen before. And boy, howdy, was it a heck of a double feature to mark the halfway point of the season. They did The Mutilator, first of all, which is it was a lot of fun. Every time I watch that movie, I think like, oh yeah, I've got good memories of this movie. Like I don't remember a lot about it, but there's good impressions in my mind. I've probably seen it now 3 times over the course of my life. And then I remember why I love it so much. The fucking soundtrack is so bonkers because the movie was called Fall Break originally.
Okay.
And it's a pretty it's a fairly brutal, just teen slasher.
Yeah.
Like teen vacation slasher type of thing, but with a couple of like really unexpectedly and unnecessary mean-spirited kills. Like it reminds me almost of The Prowler or something like that in that way.
It sounds almost like I actually haven't seen The Mutilator, but it also kind of sounds along the lines of Blood Rage.
Oh yeah, I could see that a little bit. Even more mean-spirited than Blood Rage, but yes, there is a couple. Like there is, I won't even spoil it. I'm not even tell. There's one very infamous kill that kind of has put the movie on the map a little bit, but you should definitely go watch it if you haven't before. But then there's it was called Fall Break originally in its theatrical run, and then no one watched it. And then when it got its home video release for the video stores, because this is in the 80s. I want to say it's 80. Well, I don't know, mid 80s. I think like that, something like that. It was they renamed it The Mutilator, right? So they can get a heck of a nice and it does have a great VHS cover. But there's this theme song that someone wrote specifically for it, and they get their money's worth. It plays like 5 fucking times, including over the end credits, and it's like, Fall Break, we love a fall break. Like it's just so fucking. It might as well be fucking on the Footloose soundtrack. You know what I mean? That's the tone to this pretty gory, over the top, slasher movie. It's so disjointed and fucking bonkers. I love it. And then they follow that up with Possession. Right, yeah. which we just talked about not that long ago on the show, which is just an emotionally draining movie.
Yeah. I saw the Twitter timeline blow up with just a bunch of people of like, what the fuck is this movie?
Yeah, because
this movie is upsetting.
Well, think about the amount of people, because they were talking on the show, which that from the beginning everyone's been requesting The Mutilator, right? And they just have never played it. And apparently it's like a highly requested movie, which I'm like, I didn't realize it had that big of a fan base, but yeah, perfect kind of drive-in movie. And then to finish right on the heels of this quirky, silly thing with Possession, which is just about as heavy emotionally as a fucking horror movie can get almost. Yeah. It's like Hereditary level, intensity, I think.
Yeah, it's one of the most like impenetrable films because you have to fucking read about, like, you have to have context of the Cold War. You have to read about how the director was going through a messy divorce. Right. You have to have some sort of basis in Lovecraftian fucking cosmic nightmares. Yeah. Like
it's really, it reminds me so much of Jacob's Ladder, like in that way where it's just like, you don't know what's happening. You're constantly upset.
Right. I'm constantly upset and I don't know why.
I'm so upset right now. But it was really fun. Anyway, here's how I got on that story. While doing that, I drank just a whole bunch of turkey and squirt.
Nice.
And I specifically, I'm trying to get, everyone knows Jack and Coke.
Right.
I'm trying to get turkey and squirt.
Turkey and squirt going?
Get a little turkey and squirt. I'm really trying to get that to catch on. Wild Turkey 101, ice, squirt, and, maybe a maraschino cherry or two. Hard to beat.
That's like it's not. It's a whiskey Paloma.
Yeah, it's almost like a 7 and 7, a little like it's in that range. You know what I mean? My buddy, growing up, his dad used to always drink Jim Beam and squirt, and I used to think like, that sounds awful. Like, that sounds truly terrible. And now that's like my go-to cocktail is either bourbon and ginger or bourbon and squirt.
There you go.
Just old man shit. But the real, I'm just having a squirt here a little bit on the side, just, a little side squirt.
Side squirt is
what I like to call it. But I am drinking a Belgian double, which is suiting a very suiting name. It's just called Belgian Double. From our friends at Dewey Beer Company in Dewey Beach, Delaware. Still work. They loaded me up with a bunch of beers when I was over there brewing with those guys and doing a little collab action. And they gave me a whole bunch of yummy beers. I'm still making my way through them. So just drinking this little double. It's nice.
That is definitely the most American Belgian double I've ever seen. In the fact that it comes in a 16-ounce can with that like just flowery, goofy label.
Yeah, it looks like a tie-dye kind of label.
There's not a castle or a monk to be found.
And it's just called Belgian Double. But it's good. It's good. It's really well attenuated. It's got like nice phenols. It's not cidery. It's not bucely. Like Belgian Double is actually a really hard beer to brew, like a really hard style to nail. And even when people think they nail it, they don't, because it's just under attenuated. But this isn't. This is nice. And also, I appreciate that they didn't go wild with it and they made it 7%, which for me, like, 6.5 to 7.5 that's what a double should be, right? But a lot of people forget that, and then they're coming in at 8, 9, 10, 10% for Belgian double. Like, that's not what this is supposed to be. So yeah, this is sipping real nice. But yeah, it's a little bit of a sipper. So that is what the beer situation's got going for us. Let me remind everybody, and for those of you who are new to the podcast, usually, about this time of year, getting into the summertime, we start to pull in a whole bunch of more listeners. People start talking about spooky season and things like that. And then by the time, 4th of July rolls around, we got a whole bunch of new listeners, which is a wonderful thing. But if you're catching up on some old episodes, and maybe this happens to be your first one or something like that, here's how this works. We do a showdown episode once a month, first Monday of every month. But we release a new episode every single Monday. All those other Mondays, we do these little mini-sodes where we talk about, one particular movie or a little mini topic or something like that. But on that showdown episode, what we do is we got this big old spinny ass wheel. It's got a lot of different topics on it. They can be subgenres. They can be whatever. Like, for example, next month we're doing redneck shenanigans. That is the topic. So we're talking specifically about kind of redneck backwoods ass horror flicks. That came off of a big old spinny wheel. There were three potential topics. We put them on the social medias for our friends and followers to vote on. They picked that old redneck shenanigans. And then once we have that topic, each one of us will pick a movie associated with that. Then on the showdown episode, somebody will come down the ramp with a fucking bag of tacks every single time. Somebody will come out there, just smashing light bulbs over somebody's head. We have a whole big knockdown, drag out, no holds barred, extreme rules match where we talk about all three of the movies. We argue about it, we vote, and then someone takes home that motherfucking championship strap for the month. Steve, going on 3, has currently 2 consecutive months victory here. I think I did a 3-peat one time.
Nope.
Is that accurate?
No.
No one's ever 3-peated?
No one's 3-peated. Nope.
Oh, boy, howdy. That's a problem.
I'm going to hit somebody with a fucking banjo.
Well, see, that's the problem with Steve. He's notorious. He gaslights us, right? Because after he wins, especially if he hasn't won in a while, he comes out firing on all cylinders, makes us watch something where people have to eat poop or something like that. It's fucked up. We hate it. We have to sit through it for a punishment episode, which is usually the episode after the showdown where whoever's the newly minted champ has to make us watch some sort of horse shit. Steve will really, really just gape us on that one.
Yeah.
And then And then the next week, if he wins again, which he has done a couple times, including this one, he'll then act all nice. He'll do this whole good cop, bad cop fucking gaslight thing,
Right.
where he goes, guys, I'm sorry. Here, I'm going to give you something fun to watch. I'm genuinely terrified of what's happened if you win 3 in a row.
I will.
You're going to be drunk with power.
I have something planned. I literally do have something planned. And it's nothing that either you or Meg could predict.
Okay.
And I don't even know, like, the listeners couldn't predict. I have something so very special in my back pocket.
I hate it.
It's so very special.
Thanks. I hate it.
Yeah. So if I'm just saying, if I win and like the audience, I'm priming the audience now.
Yeah.
If this has to go to an audience vote.
I see what you're doing.
It's like, if you want something truly amazing and special, like, get on the social medias. Go to Megan for the Black Lagoon. Tell her to throw it. Just tell her to throw it. You know, tell Brian to throw it.
Fucking backroom collusion shit now. Like this is shaping up to be the fucking Montreal screw job over here.
If you want something completely interesting and different,
this is just bribery.
Yeah. Hey,
this is just bald faced bribery.
Yeah. I'm not going to deny it. It's not extortion. It's not extortion because I'm not threatening to do something bad if you don't. I'm just threatening to take away something fun. I'm taking away fun if you don't.
That's the same as doing something bad. Anyway, so guys, we will learn next week. I know last week we said we were going to talk about what our movies are, but Meg's not on this episode. And also, I totally forgot. We got an extra Monday. We got 5 Mondays in May. So next Monday, the very last Monday in May, we will choose which will be Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
We will choose what our movies for redneck shenanigans are going to be. I already know what my pick's going to be, and I don't think anybody else is going to pick it. But if I have a second, I need to have a second, which I don't have a second yet.
Yeah.
So, all right. We got all that out of the way. Also, if you do want to help us to do those showdown episode topics, if you want to suggest topics, and just give us some feedback, whatever, follow us on the social medias. It's at Halloween is Forever on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. Actually, it's at Hallow Forever on Twitter. You can go to our Instagram page. There's a little link tree in there. You can go in and check it out there.
And if you got some of them Blue Sky hookups, send it to us so we can get on Blue Sky and get off Twitter.
What's Blue Sky?
Blue Sky is the new platform that, like, the guy from Twitter, the original CEO, Jack, he went and started.
Oh, the Jack, Twitter Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
He went and started a new company.
God damn, Twitter is just. Listen, I'm old. We're both old.
Mm-hmm.
We've been on Twitter for a minute.
Yeah.
Twitter used to be so fun. Now it's just such a fucking cesspool.
It's the whole fucking, like, blue checks under every reply. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah. Anyway, so, but check us out over on our social medias. It's a lot of fun. We post some spooky ooky shit on the internet. Also, if you have any suggestions for these here minisodes, especially one of these months where we got an extra Monday, we're always looking for ideas. This episode topic, this movie was a listener suggested topic to you, Steve. Do you remember who suggested it?
Yeah, this came from our friend Ed Dexter off Facebook. And
gotcha.
he originally suggested it as a punishment film, but this is one of those
feels more like that.
It kind of, I mean, a little bit, but I was like, I'm willing to take the chance. I watched the trailer he shared with us, and I was like, oh, this could be very Boxer Zomany.
Well, it is, and it's fun. Don't get me wrong, it is fun. I had fun watching it. It's just too goddamn long.
It's too long. Too long.
That's really the only thing. And, like, this is the thing is, if I was just watching this by myself on a random weeknight, putting substances in my brain and just, like, half watching it while also playing on my phone and, like, scratching my ass, like, this would have been totally fine. But the fact that I have to pay close attention to it and take notes is really what makes it fucking a slog. A motherfucking slog.
Yeah, and you have to read. Like, nothing against subtitled films. I like subtitled films, but that's the other thing is, like, I don't think there's an English dub of this, so there isn't a way for your brain to just kind of wander.
No, you're right. You have to pay attention with the subtitles. You can't turn your head away because you're going to miss it. We should say as well, if you want to watch this movie, it is free on the YouTubes.
Mhm.
Just type in the title of the movie, obviously, which is Mahakaal. But there's also some other things that are like spelled similarly. Anyway, it's Mahakaal, and then just type 1994.
Yeah.
And it'll come up. There are two versions. Click the one that has like the Bollywood horror movies or whatever, because that one has the subtitles. The other one does not. Because I got 5 minutes into the first one and was like, oh, fuck, there's no subtitles.
Right. Well, yeah, you can watch the opening scene because there isn't really any dialogue.
There's no dialogue.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize until so then I had to go click on the other one and scrub through it. But
yeah, the other version I found, if you search The Monster, which is the name in English, The Monster 1993 Indian horror movie remastered in 4K.
There you go. I should have watched that one because my resolution fucking blew.
Yeah, mine was actually pretty damn decent. I don't know if it's...
Do the one Steve said, because it sounds way better.
It's on the Hindi and English Movies Channel International on YouTube.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, as you probably picked up from already, this is an Indian, specifically in Hindi, version of... they don't come out and say it, but this is a just almost... At points, shot-for-shot ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street, but then also there's a lot of influence from a lot of Western culture and genre films, but especially, a handful of Western horror movies. But there are actually, and we'll talk about it, several scenes that are just literally absolute, as best as they could do, ripoffs of Nightmare on Elm Street. And when I say the best that they could do, in some instances, they did a bad job.
They did a bad. Sometimes they did a bad, but sometimes they did a good. There's some good visuals.
This movie is confusing. Sometimes I was like, wow, there's like some legit, really, I'll put it this way. Nothing is from lack of effort in this movie.
No.
Maybe with the exception of one scene. This movie, the amount of time that it had to take to edit this movie is alarming. The amount of cuts, the amount of crazy tonal shifts, the amount of just shots and camera positions in this movie is bewildering.
Yeah. Yeah.
The cinematography and editing, they cut zero corners. It was like they were trying to kill themselves.
Yeah. It's kind of like they have nothing else to do except for this.
Yeah. It's really like they were trying to stretch. It feels like they were getting paid by the hour and they were just stretching it out as long as they could.
Yeah. So I just kind of want to give a little more background into the film and who made it and kind of maybe what explains why it's the way it is. Like the film itself was directed by Shyam and Tulsi Ramsay. And these two cats are kind of famous. They would be more famous in India, obviously, but they are known as the Ramsay brothers, which is part of a team of 7 brothers. And these 7 brothers kind of ruled India in the 70s and 80s, making B-grade schlock horror.
Yeah.
So you have Tulsi and Shyam directing this one, and this is one of the last films that they did. But then their brothers Kumar and Keshu and Gangu and Arjun and Kiran, they all have a bunch of horror films under their belts. I think it's around 30 horror films that they directed in Bollywood.
Yeah, and just like the Ramsay brothers as an entity, I'm don't have a lot of knowledge around Indian films, especially like Indian horror films, but yeah, it's like, it's not, I would compare it maybe to like Larry Cohen or something like that. You know what I mean? It's not like a bajillion movies, but they are a lot. There's seems to be a lot that have like cult followings and stuff like that.
It's much more closer to the Coens than the Shaw brothers. Shaw brothers.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I was thinking Larry Cohen, but yes, the Shaw. Yeah. It's not to that level. It's not
distributing thousands.
Yeah, what's the freaking guy?
Roger Corman.
Yeah, I could not think of his first name. It's not Corman level of movies or anything like that. I'd probably put it more like Larry Cohen level.
Yeah. So, yeah, but like you were saying, it is pretty much a complete ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, and in fact, this gave me I there's a lot of obviously Indian names and stuff like that. So me just being a lazy idiot, I just started calling them by. I mean, there's Anita, which is she's the main protagonist, but everyone else I just pretty much came up with different names for, and I stuck very clearly because they eventually reveal who the killer's name is, but he's just the straight up Freddy ripoff. Yeah, and I just called him Sharp Hand Joe.
I was calling him Sharp Hand Joe up until they renamed it as well. I was like, this is just Sharp Hand Joe movie. Yeah.
If you're not familiar with who Sharp Hand Joe is, just Google Sharp Hand Joe.
Yeah.
It was like a really funny meme of a ripoff Freddy toy from like the 80s that's called Sharp Hand Joe. And then just imagine him.
There's another one out there called Monster Man, which is what I was also thinking of.
That's more relevant because that's the more closer to the translation.
Yeah.
Which I was trying to look on, because I saw it like monster, but then I also saw that the name kind of alludes to like somebody who is beyond death, who's like above death or has escaped death or something. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, well,
Sharp Hand Joe done that.
Yeah, so like that was kind of the tie to the Boxer's Omen. Is that at some point they started they reveal that the killer's backstory is like he's a magician. Yeah, and they start studying the dark arts, and I just got like upset thinking about like there isn't enough Western horror films that are based on evil wizards and magicians causing trouble.
It's such a great this got me down a little bit of a rabbit hole looking up Indian horror movies and Hong Kong horror movies really have a lot of the same themes.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of dark magic, a lot of somebody who just like dabbled like a little bit too far into the dark arts and wizardry and then ended up becoming or unleashing one or an entire host of evil demon spirits.
Yeah. And we don't get enough of that.
No, we don't. It's always the devil.
It's always
like, it doesn't have to be the devil, guys. It doesn't have to be the fucking devil. The devil's not real. You could just say somebody did a thing. They start reading a book. They start reading too many books.
Yeah.
You know what happens when you read too many books.
That's right.
You end up with a dang old evil spirit haunting you. So it's almost like evil spirits are the serial killers of Eastern like horror sometimes.
Yeah.
They're just like, they just come out of the fucking woodwork if you do the wrong thing. You take one wrong step off the path. Fuck, we got an evil spirit.
They got so many fun ghosts and spirits, and we just got dumbass devil.
And hopping vampires. I just
damn it, they got hopping vampires.
God damn it. Our vampires are all sparkly and sexy.
Yeah.
Making me all horny. I don't want to get horny from vampires. I just want a dang old hopping vampire.
Stupid.
With his hands up in front of him like a fucking bunny.
That should be Nicolas Cage's next vampire role. Is a hopping
vampire. He would do. He's maybe the only human on the planet that could fucking pull it off. But Nicolas Cage, and I don't know the man personally, but I swear to God, I would bet my right arm he's got a whole collection of samurai swords.
Yeah.
Doesn't he seem like the kind of guy who's got a lot of samurai swords?
Yeah. If you watch did you see the movie he did with Pedro Pascal that's about him? Like that's
the weight of incredible talent or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I mean, the whole thing is like Pedro Pascal's character collects all of his movie memorabilia. And so he just has like a bunch of guns and chainsaws and axes and everything all through the.
I have not watched that, and I've heard good things. It just has been on my. I haven't been watching as much lately as I normally do, just because work's been crazy. But that one's on my list. I gotta do that.
Yeah, do that. It's a good one.
Yeah, this movie. I mean, it starts assaulting the senses from the fucking jump.
Hell yeah!
Like the intro / like credit sequence is just wild. I will say right off the bat, the most alarming thing about this movie is, well, two things. We'll talk about one later. The smoke budget on this movie. As a man who appreciates a smoke machine, and I do take smoke machines places that smoke machines don't normally need to go.
Mm-hmm.
This guy had to be buying 55-gallon drums of smoke smoke juice and just going through them like they were fucking 8-ounce squirts. Like he was just, there's so much smoke in this movie.
Were they, or were they just setting things on fire?
No, because you could see it coming from one singular source in so many instances. It's just like they had the Cadillac of smoke machines, and they were putting that fucking thing through the ringer.
Yeah. Again, this is their late stage movie, so they probably had like a bunch of smoke machines left over, and they're just like, we're throwing everything at this movie.
Yeah, it's almost like everyone thinks, hey, the goal was to make this, Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff, but I think that's all just coincidental. I think they set out and said, we're going to make the smokiest movie there ever fucking was. And they pulled it off. There are set parts of this movie where it's just thick with smoke, which I appreciate. And I love the atmosphere it brings. But yeah, the intro is this you quickly realize, especially anybody who's seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, it's this, kind of dream sequence of a woman running around in her nightie in this fucking dream world. There's swinging chains everywhere. Which, did you get one of the other movies? I got a lot of Hellraiser vibes from certain scenes in this movie as well.
Yeah, I got some Hellraiser vibes, but also I just think because like there's kind of really, it feels like there's only 2 locations in this opening scene of like there's the factory floor, and then there's that hallway with the chains in it. And they just kind of cut in between. And it works because it's like dream logic. Because at one point, the woman who's being assaulted, whose name you don't learn for like 20 fucking minutes is... I
know. And then you get confused with the other woman because they kind of look like they could be sisters. Yeah.
Right. And you just don't see them. Like,
right. That's true.
You don't see this woman, Seema, who's being attacked in this dream. You don't see her for 20 minutes after this. So
exactly. You're just like, oh, was that just some like... she's dead and we never talk about her again. Yeah.
But yeah, she's running around in this kind of factory setting. And then at one point she like runs down the stairs that you've seen multiple times, and she's just back in the same place. And it's like, I mean, it's good dream logic, but also it's just like, we didn't have anywhere else to shoot.
I know. Yeah. It felt like an MC Escher fucking painting. They're just going up this way, and then it leads to the same room you were just in, which then, so you're just going through the fucking Mario pipes. But surprise, surprise, she gets attacked by this guy, and I'm gonna describe him. Maybe we'll wait to talk a little bit about what he looks like in a little bit more detail. But he's definitely supposed to be Freddy,
right?
He's got the burned, scarred up, burn scar face, but something about the fact that he still has all of his hair, and the way his hair is like moved back and puffed up gave me. It's hard to not give you kind of Michael Myers vibes from the hair.
See, that I got because he has the long black trench coat, and his hair actually looks more like a mullet. I got Kiefer.
It is more mullet.
I got Kiefer Sutherland from Lost Boys.
Okay. The other thing that I got a lot from him later on, which we'll talk about, is he did remind me a little bit of well, when you start to see him a little more close up, he reminds me a little bit of Frankenstein from the Hammer flicks.
Okay.
Too, with the kind of because he kind of has these weird bangs. Yeah. I don't know. It's a bold choice, but they're swinging chains, and surprise, surprise, she wakes up. She's got or she gets her arm kind of slashed with the old. Sharp, they don't call him Sharp Hand Joe for nothing. Let's put it that way. One other thing I would call it, just because right off the bat, like I thought I was maybe watching the wrong movie. Because this movie is from 93 or 94, depending on where you look. It looks like it's at least a decade older than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If somebody said like, here's a 30-second clip from anywhere in the movie, tell me what year do you think this is from? And again, different culture, different, who knows, maybe different technology was big at that point in Bollywood. I don't know. But if you said this is a Western movie and just some still images or whatever, what year was it from? I'd say 1980.
Yeah.
Like I would say literally like over a decade older than it actually is.
Yeah. I mean, that's a thing that like even happens with European films, though, I feel of like, like I'm thinking specifically like of like Dario Argento films from like 90 and 2000.
Yeah, but at least he's got like you know what to expect from an Argento movie.
Yeah, you know what to expect from him.
The way he shoots it. But yeah, I guess this could have been I don't know. I don't know enough about Indian horror movies, especially of this era. But I Kate sat down, kind of a couple of minutes through the movie and was like, what the fuck is this? Because she kept hearing the laugh of the villain, which is like almost like it's not that cartoonish, but it's not a typical demonic laugh. It's like
there is nothing scary about this film.
No, there really isn't at all. There was like 2 scenes that I was like, wow, that's kind of creepy, but it felt so juxtaposed to the rest of the movie, which is not even a little bit scary.
Right.
But she sat down and she was like, what is this? And I said, it's like some, like I said, some Indian ripoff of. She's like, from what year? And I was like, 1994. She's like, what?
Yeah.
Like she was blown away from what it looked like. But
yeah.
So you get introduced to this couple, and Anita, she is the main protagonist. We're going to talk a lot about Anita here. Anita, Stone Cold Fox, first of all, like, boy, howdy.
Yeah.
She's just this lady, not to be, too on the nose, but this lady put together.
Yeah.
She put together.
Yeah.
And she acts her ass off in this movie. I mean, really bought in, leaning in hard to this whole dang thing. And there's a couple of people who are really kind of phoning in their performance. Not Anita. Not
Anita and not Canteen.
No, and definitely not Canteen. Which, so you're introduced to this couple, and you get a very good idea of like what the social interaction between the characters is going to look like right off the bat, because he like runs in, she's like hanging a picture, and the boyfriend like smacks her butt and like grabs her, and like this very playful, like lovers, almost like, just kind of grab assing or whatever. She responds. It's so over the top, just flailing wildly. And you're just like, there's going to be some weird, unbalanced social cues in this movie. You can tell right from the beginning. Then you get introduced to this other guy who he's just sitting on the hood of his car with just a bunch of other guys. They're all like, I mean, honestly, if you said like, how old are these? I would say they're like late 20s, but apparently they're supposed to be college students.
Yeah.
Like late 20s, early 30s. and everyone just calls him boss.
Right.
Like they call him the boss. Like he's their boss.
Yeah. Like you assume it's kind of like, like you see it in Hong Kong movies a lot of just like there's just some street tough who is in charge of everybody else because he'll kick everybody else's ass, if they don't listen to him.
Yeah. And so they all call him boss. It's boss. So I just call him the boss pretty much in my notes moving forward.
He's the boss.
Yeah. I'm thinking boss, like, and then I, of course, started equating him in my mind to this Bruce Springsteen. And anyway, they're just waiting for Anita outside. And it becomes very clear that he's like in love with Anita, but very superficially. And by in love, I mean, just wants to constantly sexually assault her and or try to rape her. Like it is legitimately unnerving. But everything's played for laughs. It's very strange. It's very strange and disconcerting. You also get them. You're just jumping around. You're meeting a lot of characters. You don't know what the fuck's going on. They're in like a little, I don't even want, I guess a cafe of sorts.
Yeah, it's a cafe. Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy who is the proprietor of the cafe, who may or may not be a student. I don't think he is, but he's always bombing around campus.
I equated him to the character in Saved by the Bell who owns the Max or is the waiter at the Max or whatever.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was him. He's always there, but he's like, he doesn't go to school.
Yeah, but he's always hanging around on campus though. I don't know. Anyway, he's also he's a wannabe Michael Jackson type character, like so much so that it's not like they're trying to model him after Michael Jackson. They actually have he has a poster of Michael Jackson on the wall. He wants to be Michael Jackson, right?
Did your version of the film actually play, I think it's Beat It Or no, mine played Thriller is what it was.
No, mine did not.
Yeah, okay. My version of the film played Thriller when he first introduces himself and comes out by the Michael Jackson poster.
Mine, I don't think played actual Thriller, but it played like a very adjacent movie.
Yeah.
Or maybe adjacent track. Like you could tell it was like if somebody was like, all right, you've got 24 hours to make a
sound alike
song cue that sounds a little bit like Thriller or it sounds like a Michael Jackson song.
Yeah. No, mine plays Thriller when he comes out and introduces himself and starts dancing.
Yeah. And then like right off the bat, Canteen is a strange character because one, I should say, this is a musical kind of. Like I mean, I know enough about like Bollywood movies to know that like musicals and big elaborate dance and song and dance numbers are something that they will shoehorn into a lot of different types of movies. And this is very much the case in this movie, but mostly just during the first half. And then there's a huge, so the numbers aren't spaced out well at all.
No.
Like they're really heavy early on. Then you go a huge section of the movie with nothing. Then you get like a complete non sequitur one in the last like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's very strange. But Canteen, whoever this performer is, he is clearly a comedian. He's like if Jerry Lewis and Ernest P. Worrell almost, you know what I mean? Like he's like the Indian version because he does do a little bit of like an old timey showbiz kind of type thing, but then he definitely has a lot of like Jim Varney-esque expressions and different characters he plays, and he plays the characters simultaneously talking to themselves. So I would be blown away if this performance wasn't pretty strongly, I think, influenced by Jim Varney.
Yeah.
I just felt like, but it's really bizarre because right off the bat, he does this weird, like fourth wall breaking thing. Did you catch that?
I didn't catch the fourth wall break.
Where he talks about the what are the brothers that direct the movie?
The Ramsays.
The Ramsays. He talks about the Ramsays.
Oh,
he's like, I'm going to get discovered by the Ramsay brothers or something. Like
I guess I didn't pay. Yeah, I guess I didn't catch that or pay enough attention to think about it. It's
almost a throwaway line. Like they only mention it once, but it's in the first certainly 10 minutes of the movie. It's when you get introduced to Canteen.
Yeah.
He does this thing about how like he's going to be discovered by the Ramsay brothers or something.
I guess I was just more paying attention to the fact that he called that one lady fat and just like, you know.
And then they were all like, gotcha. Including her. Yeah. They like love it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm rewatching the scene right now. It says, the Ramsay brothers, they told me they really like my face. And then they push in and do a close up for him.
Yeah. Fuck. They do this like this weird fourth wall breaking gag, like so early in the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, he's definitely a comedian, and he took the most Americanized name for his screen name. This is Johnny Lever. Is
Johnny Lever?
Yeah,
I've heard of. Now that you say that, I feel like I've seen him or heard of him before.
I mean, he is in 322 films.
Yeah,
and has 5 upcoming. So,
he's still cranking.
He's still going.
Well, this is the thing: is like I saw in there that he had like second billing, so he's obviously the guy they brought in for the and so many of his scenes. He is genuinely funny, but so many of his scenes are really, really shoehorned in there, and makes for a very tonally inconsistent movie. But you can tell that they were like, we got this guy. He's a big sell. We really need to give him all the screen time we can. So like, it'll be this like very serious scenes. And then he'll just pop in doing a little bit and everybody's like, pa-cha-cha, LOL. And then they'll just go back to something very serious happening.
And honest to God, it is like if they added Ernest to The Departed.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. You just pop in good old Ernest P. Worrell into, some movie that is otherwise completely serious.
Yeah.
But you gotta deliver him lines. He's got to get his gags in. and it just makes for a very tonally weird film. But
now I'm just imagining Ernest in the new like Nolan film Oppenheimer.
Yeah, it's like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy or whatever, but then like all of a sudden just Ernest pops in and
gotta split that atom, Vern, know what I mean?
know what I mean. Yeah, so the boss, who we already were introduced, pops in at this point with this shirt. He's got this King Tut shirt on with like the metallic like sarcophagi, head on it, and it just fucked so hard I couldn't run.
It's a good shirt
about it.
There's a lot of good fashion in this film.
There is. It is intense and early 90s fashion. And like you could tell this was obviously something that was geared a little bit more towards like, I would guess like Western conscious viewers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like there obviously it's it was released in India and it's very much a Hindi movie, but there's it's a very Western conscious thing. But with a little bit more like I would imagine the kind of sex and stuff like that. It's all pretty mild and playful and lovey-dovey. I imagine that was probably a little bit of a still kind of edgy from a from a different cultural perspective. But again, I did not expect the musical, and I mean, it goes head over heels into fucking these numbers. Some of these numbers, I think there's like 3 numbers that are more than 5 minutes long.
Oh yeah, it is.
There's one that I swear had to be 8 or 9 minutes long. It just went on and on and on. The one on the beach.
Yeah, the first one. One on the beach is so fucking long because they go to the beach. So it's Anita and...
Well, there's even 2. Yeah, there's the 2 one on the beach, and then there's the one where the whole group goes to the beach.
Right.
And we get a number for each one.
I feel like that wasn't on the beach. They just went off-roading somewhere. There wasn't water around. Well, they just took beach balls with them.
Water at one point.
They took beach balls with them.
They did take beach balls with them. But there is a scene where they're doing like a conga line.
And
it is kind of on a little beach.
Oh yeah, it was like a little shitty lake or something. I don't. It didn't.
Well,
yeah.
Now all I'm imagining is like because I this past weekend the new Zelda game came out. Here's the Kingdom.
Yeah.
So I've been playing that, and if you've played that at all, you'll just be like walking around Hyrule, and there'll just be like a little like shallow pond, where you can catch frogs and shit. I imagine that's where they went to the beach. It's just like a little fucking weird wetland.
Just a quick side diversion. The only thing I've seen from Tears of the Kingdom is all the fucking like war criminal shit people have been building.
I just started playing. I've only played it a few hours, couple hours now, and it's wild.
Yeah.
There's so much like customization you can make of shit people build, and it's just like it's almost overwhelming.
Yeah, I just see it and it's always some war criminal fucking machine somebody built and then set to Dragula.
Hell yeah.
It's like they just have a machine built and then you have Dragula in the background. They start the engine and it just starts killing whatever.
Yeah, it's fucking chaos. Like the problem solving in this game is like it's chaos.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you get this sexy little beach number with Anita and her boyfriend, and they're like frolicking in the beach. They're in the water. They're like laying like on a rock as like doing the whole Little Mermaid, make out scene as the water's crashing on them. But dude never loses his jeans.
Absolutely not.
And never untucks his shirt.
Absolutely not.
It's so horrible.
Like they even do a costume change within the scene, within the number, and they go to a new location, which is like some private residence, I imagine.
It just looks like a courtyard or something.
Or like a country club or a golf course or some shit. And there's like, so they're in the water at the beach completely soaked, move to new location, turn on sprinklers, new costumes, also completely soaked.
Yeah. They just show up, and it's supposed to be that they're like having this dance. I think it's supposed to be like a dancing in the rain type thing, but it's bright and sunny out. It's clearly sprinklers.
Yeah.
And like you could tell they're just, they're absolute consummate professionals. They are sticking it out, but you could tell the water is just coming just horizontally into their eyes as they're like dancing. Oh, it's wild. It goes on so long. The whole scene, it can be summarized. It's like this very like, stereotypical Bollywood type of tune. It's very, almost like 70s era type of song and dance thing where they're just there's tons of choreography. They're doing a bunch of stuff that makes no sense in real life. And pretty much all he's trying to do is just smooch her titties.
Right.
Most of the time, he's just trying to smooch her titties. And she's trying to avoid getting her titties smooched. That's how I can describe this. He keeps trying to looks like just kiss her on the breasts. And she's like, no, dog, bye. And then they go dance somewhere else. And it's just, and it's fucking 7 minutes of that.
Yeah, it's 7 minutes of that. And like they're singing it, like the lyrics are congruous of I love you, you love me, we found love. And then he's like,
I'm so
trying
happy to be in love. Love makes me happy.
Right.
And then your happiness makes me happy, and we're in love.
And then he tries to kiss her boobs, and she's like, nah, I'd love you, but not that much right now. My dad'll be mad.
It's just hopping around, just doing all kind of crazy dances, and just, again, rehashing the same things over and over and over again. It just goes on forever. And then cut to, again, it's weird juxtaposition, because you see this, like, just very silly, happy-go-lucky, we're dancing and being fancy free, and then you cut to the scene in the classroom where the boss is just
oogling,
assaulting Anita with his eyes.
No, we went from her boyfriend Prakash trying to kiss her boobs to the boss straight up eye fucking her tits in the classroom.
Oh my God. Dude, and the camera is from his view, and it is zoomed in on her breast. Like not even like there's no ambiguity. They are literally only her boobs are in frame, and then you see him like licking his lips like a fucking degenerate. Like it's wild. Then the teacher, apparently we learn later, you can sleep in this class for an untold number of minutes and nobody notices. But if you're looking at a girl's breasts in this, the teacher will slap the shit out of you.
Whoop your ass.
He will literally undress you and whoop your ass in front of the entire class. But it's fun. Now you finally understand who the first woman who got attacked in the dreams is, who's Seema is her name. And she's like Anita's friend, and she's explaining the whole thing to Anita. Now you're like, oh, two different people. She's still here. Anita's been established now kind of as the main character, but Seema is still there. And then you get the idea, apparently, you get introduced to Anita's parents, her dad, who you don't know this yet, but he's like the general of the police. And then her mom is, essentially a non-character. It's very strange. But Anita's parents had another daughter who died 7 years ago, and Anita has a dream about her. It's kind of similar to her dream and the one Seema had. But there's just skeletons, just so many skeletons.
This has probably my favorite shot of the whole movie. So the setup is that the dead daughter and dead sister of Anita comes to her at night and lures her.
It's like a smaller child. She looks like she's 10 or something.
Yeah, she's a young kid, and she lures Anita into the dream world, which is actually just Sharp Hand Joe's domain.
Right.
And then, like, she turns into a skeleton, which is pretty fun. And Anita runs away, and then she is just surrounded in a hallway full of dollar store skeletons.
I'm looking at my.
It's the same. Halloween. It's the same one, but those have dirt on them. No,
mine's way nicer. Mine's way more anatomically correct.
Yours is bigger for sure. Like, yours is bigger for sure.
Definitely bigger. Well, and the ones in the movie, the ribs are so fat and close to each other. They look like hot dog buns.
Yeah,
like a pack of hot dog buns.
Yeah, there's probably only like 4 ribs in these.
It's so weird, and they're just like there's this scene where Anita's laying on her back and the skeletons are just like, oh, it's like that Austin Powers, like, oh, I've fallen over. Oh, I've fallen over again.
She just covered in them. But my favorite shot is before she falls over.
Lousy with skeletons.
Yeah. My favorite shot, though, is right before that, is like she's running through the hall and she gets scared by one skeleton and falls up against the opposing wall. And the skeleton there, spikes the camera. He turns and looks at the camera as if to say, "Can you believe this lady?"
He does like almost a double take at the camera.
It's the funniest.
Like, you imagine
thing.
he was gonna go, "It's a living."
Yeah.
You know,
Like, oh my God, this lady's in our house and she's causing a ruckus. Can you believe her?
Oh my God, it's a wild.
This is skeleton hallway. What do you think expect to happen?
Why you come down to the skeleton boarding house carrying on a ruckus, and you're the one blaming us for scaring you? I just imagine he has like a Barney Fife voice. Oh man, it's crazy. And then you get a cut back over, and you see Sharp-Hand Joe, but he's got a meat face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. He never has a meat face again in the whole rest of the movie, as far as I can tell. But he's just got this, like, I don't know. It just looks like they literally like got some really thin sliced like roast beef and just laid it on his face.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, that's what he looks like, I guess. Nope. Never looks like that again.
Nope.
The rest of the movie.
We did that makeup effect once, and no, we shouldn't have done that.
Didn't go well, and we abandoned it. Yeah. Yeah. This is where we're really starting to, like I said, I really started to get impressed by this. The smoke budget on this movie was a motherfucker.
A lot of smoke in this scene.
Honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb. Most smoke I've ever seen in any movie ever. Like, I can't even think of one besides maybe like the Wolfman's got a ton of smoke, but not in every scene. This really is like every fucking scene. Or The Fog. I mean, this has The Fog levels of smoke machine action in it.
And I mean, the Mist.
At least that movie's called The Fog, right. So you like it's part of it. Or The Mist. Let's put it this way: we are only considering movies that might have an equal amount of fog,
right.
Has the expectations in the title of the amount of fog and or mist.
And I was going to say The Mist is probably disqualified because it's mostly CGI. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Only a movie that is calling out clearly in the title the amount of smoke machines used could stand up to this movie in terms of smoke machines. Yeah, so you start to understand, like, maybe my favorite character in this movie, not favorite, he's a real bastard, but he's just a bonkers character, is her father, which I just wrote down in all of my notes as Papa, because they call him Papa. Yeah. Papa is just genuinely annoyed that anyone else exists.
Pretty much.
On the whole planet.
Pretty much.
He smokes cigars at breakfast, which is just like, only if you're like a fucking South American drug cartel leader do you smoke fucking cigars at breakfast. But he's doing it in his fucking robe. Their house is like super extravagant for some reason. It's never really explained. I guess he is like, he's
the general of the police.
But he called him general of the police because he's got like a fucking, I mean, it's a military like officers type of uniform on, which I think is generally like of that era. I think how I think back to like some James Bond movies and stuff. I think that's how like Indian like police might have dressed during the era. But he looks like he's, fucking General Patton kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's like not culturally the same at all, but it's just like, there's a lot of scenes, especially later at the jail. It looks, looks exactly like a Zorro movie.
It is, because it's like fucking stone and like stucco walls and just gravel. Like it literally you're right. It looks like a Zorro. It looks like the prison cell that they keep the one guy in, which we'll get to later, looks like somewhere Captain Jack Sparrow would have been housed.
Yeah, it just looks like a Zorro movie. Like everybody's in gray beige, and then like you said, like the setting looks exactly like it.
Yeah, with like spider webs everywhere and shit. But he's just pissed at everyone. Anita has a crazy dream, essentially the same dream that Seema had. And she wakes up with a slash mark on her arm, which you don't realize right away. But she wakes up screaming in the middle of the night, having this crazy nightmare. The mom comes in. It's like, oh, my God, what's happening? She's like, she's really freaked out. The dad comes in the middle of the night to his daughter having like a screaming night terror and tells her, get back to your studies. Like, bitch, I was sleeping.
Yeah.
It's the middle of the night. We weren't studying. He's like, no more of this nonsense. You need to get back to focusing on your studies. It's like, it's 3 a.m.
Yeah. Well, back to it.
Yeah. Go back to dreaming about math.
The sun's almost up. What the fuck are you doing?
Right. But yeah, she's got the same wound on her arm that Seema had. And then, cut to the next morning, and the boss and all of his, what I just started referring to as bosslings, the bosslings just turn into full on rapists.
Yeah. Broad daylight.
Like they're just broad daylight, middle of the day on campus. They're like, oh, hey, I got the hots for you. And she's like, get fucked, boss. And they're just like, nope, we're going full on gang rape.
Yeah.
Like that's what they go for. And it's played so lightly, and it's so fucking disturbing.
It's so unpleasant because, again, like you said, it's broad daylight, and it just turns on a switch. They're just like,
yeah.
And now here's the rape scene. And it's like,
well, because the whole movie's so silly. It's not scary at all. We just had it like two, I don't know, we didn't have two yet. We had one like 7-minute lovey-dovey song and dance number on the beach, and now all of a sudden it's fucking Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so over the top, so tonally wild.
And I'll also say in this, it's quite obvious that the boss is a virgin, because as they have Anita pinned down, he says, all right, now let's get her wet before I go in. And then you're like, oh, that's really gross. But then they cut to a wide shot, and then he's actually hitting her with a garden hose.
No, he's literally spraying her with a garden hose. Yeah, it's the whole thing. Is like I said, it's almost played for laughs, and not the assault scene here, but like the lines are, and it's just bizarre. It's really fucking bizarre. And then the boyfriend and his buddy come in and just treat all of them like they're putties and just have a big old fucking sick karate fight. Literally they start by, they see it and they run in and jump kick them all.
This is like the first of 2 rape scenes and the first of 4 like fight scenes that are not
like full on broad daylight martial art group combat fights.
Yeah. Like what is it? Hard Ticket to Hawaii or what the fuck am I thinking of? I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm thinking of Kung Fu movie.
I mean, that's what it feels like, because they're doing, like, especially the first one, they're doing fucking flips off cars. Yeah. And they're grabbing weapons and they're eluding weapons. And it feels like very much like a Kung Fu movie. It isn't a street. It isn't like, the bar fight in Westworld where it's like a just a slugfest of the people breaking bottles over each other's head and punching each other. They're doing fucking full on martial arts choreography.
Yeah, they got fucking one guy brings out the hedge clippers like The Burning. That's an
yeah, he does. Wouldn't it have been wild if he just like hacked off a couple fingers like they did in that too?
Like,
oh, Jesus Christ. And then like as it's getting brutal and you're like, oh, everyone's going to be dead here in 2 seconds. Nope. I guess the dean or something just comes out and just gives them all a good talking to. And they're like, oh, he's like, I'll kick you out of school. And they're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, you could just tell it's such a cultural thing. And you get this in some like other, Eastern or like Hong Kong and Japanese horror movies of the era, where it's like, no matter what is happening, the monster, the violence, the villain of any kind, nothing is scarier than garnering the disapproval of your parents.
Yeah, because he goes through and he's like, I think it's like Prakash and Param. He's like, he's to both of them. And he's like, what are you doing getting involved in this? You come from good families. And he's like, I'm going to tell you.
There's this whole caste system.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's like, no matter how, this could have been life and death, but if the dean threatens to tell your parents, all fucking bets are off. Everything, like, that's the worst possible thing that could happen.
Fuck you, evil magician. I can't have my parents finding out about this.
I swear to God, if the devil tells my parents that I have not been doing well in school, I'm going to fucking lose it. So yeah, this is where they go on that excursion. It's like a little jaunty Jeep ride to the beach ? And then they have another and the longest song and dance number of the movie. And it just it goes on. It is genuinely wild. And don't get me wrong, entertaining. Like, it's not just we're walking through the woods singing. There are whole giant choreographed dance numbers, including that involve 6-7 people.
Yeah, this is the most like Frankie and Annette fucking beach party.
That's what I was thinking of. I couldn't think of their names, but yes, it is Frankie and Annette to a T kind of thing, because they're literally like doing like a conga line and hitting beach balls around. And it's just like, if they all just stopped at one point, started doing the monkey, like it would have felt totally in place.
And maybe it's just the translation, but some of these lyrics are fucking off the wall. The one that's,
but there's so many of them that you just kind of almost get numb to them really fast.
Yeah, well, like you said, there's so many characters in this scene, you're just like, whatever. But like the one that stood out to me, I was like, wait, what? That's gotta be fucked. Is that life is for laughter and making laugh? It's like, what?
I did not hear that one, but that is a good one. Life is for laughter and making laugh. Yeah, it's just, it's obviously it's translated, we're reading subtitles, but it just is like someone, if you told me that these songs were written by AI 2 days ago, I would have been like, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. ChatGPT.
Yeah. Oh, so you get Canteen, back, he's part of the group. He's in all these numbers and everything. And he's like this kooky, like Western music and movie obsessed kind of character. But then also he's kind of like he does that little Jerry Lewis thing where it's like a little bit of a gay stereotype too. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but the car won't start, which you later learn that Seema took the spark plug out because she wanted to fuck.
Yeah.
She just wanted to stay overnight in a hotel and bang the boyfriend, which I assume is like, that's why she died. It's almost like this Western horror movie. Like, if a woman suggests that she might be horny, she deserves death. But they go to this hotel, and this is where the whole comedy thing gets really bonkers, because Canteen, the guy who plays Canteen, plays a second character who is like the hotel
manager,
maitre d' or manager or whatever, who has a Hitler mustache.
Yeah.
And like a weird little Gomez Adams part in his hair.
It's and just the way they introduce him is like full on comedy effect, because he has his back to the camera and then just turns around to reveal, I'm the same guy with a Hitler mustache. Hello.
It's so bonkers. Oh, it's so bonkers. And he does a whole bit and several bits. But this is the first of a few where he is on screen with Canteen, and they're going to great editing efforts and cinematography efforts to have them both on screen together many times, more times than necessary, frankly, but only showing one of their face at one time and having like a body double for the other. And it is for the fact that their interactions really aren't that funny, to go through all this wild effort is it's just bonkers.
They're not that funny or important to the story.
They're not important at all to the story.
Could you imagine wasting that much time for something that has nothing to do with the story?
No, it is like, was it in, I'm trying to remember, is it in The Prowler, or it actually might be in the original My Bloody Valentine. One of them where they're at like a school dance and there's just a guy outside doing a tight five on the sidewalk. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think that's My Bloody Valentine. That doesn't sound...
Okay, I think it's The Prowler, where it's clearly they had a comedian who was an extra, and they just cut to him just literally telling jokes on the sidewalk. And there's a bunch of kids around like laughing. And this reminded me, I think it might be The Prowler. And it reminds me so much of that because it's just a complete non sequitur. Right. This whole bit is a complete non sequitur. Then they both get their ass beat by this woman because they're peeping on her. They're looking through a hole in the door while she's not undressing, but painting her toenails.
Oh, yeah. They peeping for feet.
They're feet peeping.
Yeah.
And so the hotel guy's feet peeping, and Canteen comes up, and you think he's going to be like, bitch, I'm going to smack you around for being a creep. But no, he's like, get out of the way. I want to see these feet.
Yeah, he's like, oh, what are you looking at? Oh, feet? Hell yeah, I'm in.
Sick. And then there's this bit, and then she sees them, comes out, beats the shit out of both of them in a full-on Looney Tunes bit.
Full-on Looney Tunes, but even more so Gilligan's Island. Because if you remember when people would get knocked out in Gilligan's Island, like the camera would swirl in and out. And it's like, that's exactly what happens to these guys. They come out.
And they even put like the black paint under their eyes, like they have black eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like thick, cartoonish black paint. Yeah, you're right. It's more Gilligan's Island, but they are just, she whoops their ass, and the whole thing is played for this big laugh. But again, it's a complete non sequitur. And I don't even think that was that one of the group, that woman?
Was it Seema that they were peeping on?
Seema.
No?
That's the thing. It wasn't Seema. So that's why I was like, I thought it was, but then when she comes out, she busts down the door. The whole thing is like, it's like I said, it's really a Looney Tunes bit. There's no subtlety. She like kicks the door off the hinges, and like she might as well pull out a big giant mallet and whack them on the head with it. That's how cartoony it is. And when she comes out, I don't think it was Seema.
No, it wasn't Seema. Maybe it was one of the other girls that like Canteen was just lusting after. And I
just think it was a random girl in the hotel.
It could have been that too.
But anyway, it's so dumb.
Also, I just wanted to mention how like the way Canteen discovers the manager feet peeping is Canteen's just walking alone, and he's doing the mime robot by himself down the sidewalk.
Yeah. He's just dancing down the sidewalk in the courtyard.
It's so silly, and again, has nothing to do with the story. He's just, I'm out. I'm doing the robot. Oh, here's this guy. I'm gonna come up behind him, pulling the rope. What are you doing? Feet peeping?
Buddy? Feet peeping? Hell yeah! Da 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 da. It's this movie. You know, it gets really bonkers, and then it becomes like repetitive, where they just keep doing the same things again. Like Anita has another dream that fake Freddy is in this instance throwing bloody shit against her window.
Yeah.
Like, and then you get a killer POV with, you know, as you might expect, a lot of fog. And it's kind of wild, just like this whole like excuse me, this whole like shot back and forth thing. And you'll get these big, long, extended scenes where, there's like a you know, the killer POV or somebody creeping around or whatever, but then nothing ever happens from it.
Yeah.
Like so many things get set up like they're going to be big events in the movie that are going to push the plot forward, and they don't.
It's like, so I think only like 2 people really die in this film, and that's Seema, who pretty much dies at this point after the feet peeping scene, and then her boyfriend. 3 people die,
and the boss.
Yeah, the boss dies. Yeah, so 3 people die in this film, but most of the time is just Anita getting harassed, telling people she's being harassed, people telling her you're not being harassed, even after like they discover it's Sharpan Joe chasing her. Like I have a note that's
they fully buy in at some point to Sharpan Joe, and they're just like, Anita, chill. Like, he's not that bad. Like,
they fully buy in.
He's not even here right now. We're safe. Like, they don't.
Yeah.
Like, at one point, they're like, oh, yeah, he's attacking you in her dreams or whatever. And she's like, he's going to kill me, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, we're at home. It's fine. And you're like, did you not remember what he did all the other times?
Like, they fully buy in to the point that her mother takes her to a priest, and the priest tells them how to deal with Sharpan Joe and like gives her an amulet and everything. And then I have a note that says it is an hour and 58 into your 2-hour, 12-minute film, and you're still asking who's trying to kill Anita when you know who's trying to kill Anita.
We've known from the first 5 seconds, and so is everybody else. Even the dad. Well, we're almost there. Seema gets killed. Okay, so no surprise here. Seema, this is the part where they do a horrible job. They try to recreate the very iconic scene of the first murder, Freddy's first murder in, on-screen kill in Nightmare on Elm Street, where he's pushing the woman up the wall, and she's like in the corner, and then she's dragging him across the ceiling, and there's blood everywhere, and the boyfriend's screaming in his tighty whities. That whole scene, iconic, horror movie scene. They try to replicate that, but with Seema and her boyfriend's watching her get killed while she's in her dream. But a bunch of Freddy gloves come through the floor, and then she's getting killed while there's like a sheet over her. It's horribly done, and it's just obviously a shadow of the original scene, but you can tell that's clearly what they're trying to accomplish. And like that's what sells all the drama and everything of the boyfriend in the first movie, and you want him to be believed so much because like that scene is so effective and so scary that you're like, he went through all that, he fucking saw it, and think how horrible it would feel to not be believed if you saw something like that. This is just like, you don't feel that because it's so fucking dumb.
And it's also so clearly supernatural in that first one because she like goes up the side of the wall across the ceiling.
Yeah.
And this one, just a sheet goes over top of her, and then the sheet's bloody. And it goes, yeah, it's kind of believable that he did it.
It's probably him. Yeah. And everyone believes that it's him. Even his friends are like, yeah, it seems like he probably did it.
I'm like, yeah, he probably didn't.
So now we get a little... we first learn that Anita's dad is the general of the police at this point. and he obviously thinks Seema's boyfriend did it. He's in hiding, Seema's boyfriend, like I said, just like in Nightmare on Elm Street. And he explains what he saw, like he's sneaking around the bushes. He explains what he saw to Anita. And then the dad just comes up behind and is like, gotcha. It just points a gun in his face. And then there's this, this is, I think, my favorite part of the entire movie. Like, this is the highlight of the movie for me. There's this dramatic chase scene of the cops arresting Seema's boyfriend. He keeps running. They're about all cutting him off at the pass. Like, there's this scene where, like, he almost, and then ultimately, it's actually a really well choreographed scene because, like, a Jeep comes skidding up and he, like, drops to his knees right, and you're like, oh my god, that actor literally almost got hit by that Jeep. It's like a very harrowing scene, and then they just cut over to the boss and all his bosslings, and Canteen stand there beside him and just picks his nose and wipes a book on his shirt. I fucking rewound it. I was howling. I mean, Kate walked in and I was just pissing my pants laughing. And she was like, what is so funny? And I rewound. I was like, don't look away. Just watch. And she was like, what? Because it's, like I said, it's this harrowing scene of like, he's getting chased and like, he's wrongfully accused, but he knows if he gets caught, he's fucked. And it's like this really emotional scene. And all of a sudden, Canteen just wipes a book on the boss's shirt. Like, and it's not like, I'm not saying it's something subtle. He literally is picking his nose, looks at it, turns, and wipes it on his shirt.
It's a two shot. So like they are perfectly framed. It's not subtle at all. Like Canteen looks at it before he wipes it on it.
He looks at the booger and goes, yuck, and then just wipes it on his shoulder. Just such a wholly disrespectful thing to do, but also just the juxtaposition of the craziness of this chase leading right into wiping a booger on somebody, which wiping a booger on somebody is honestly, it's one of the funniest things you can do. It's right up there with pretending a banana's a phone as the funniest things that a human can do. And just for it to come out of left field like that just floored me. I was pissing myself.
It's so funny. Just in like and just like the way he's explaining it, the boss is asking Canteen, is like, why are they after Param? And he's like, that's because he fought you. And he's like, well, why aren't they after me? And he's like, because you fight women. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's trying to get himself in as like almost like a little like like one of the bosslings, but he's like constantly disrespecting him and just like saying really mean, biting things to him. It's very funny, and that's like, don't get me wrong, this guy that plays Canteen, he's very fucking funny, but it just doesn't make sense in this movie at all.
This movie's tonally insane.
Yeah, it's all over the place. We now get really the only, I would say, movie like scene remake, like completely 100% ripped off scene from Nightmare on Elm Street that they kind of pull off a little bit, which is Seema in the body bag and Anita seeing her like down the hallway in like the bloody body bag, just like, you know, the translucent plastic, just like in the original movie, which is one of the most, you know, it's one of the most iconic scenes in, you know, modern horror history. And they just do basically a scene by scene or a shot by shot remake almost of that. Not shot by shot. It's a different setting and everything, obviously, but
you know what they're doing.
It exactly. Yeah. And they pull it off okay.
Yeah.
So if you would have never seen, if you were somebody living in India who had never seen Nightmare on Elm Street, you'd be like, oh, fuck, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, if you've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street, you're kind of impressed with a lot of this stuff. You know, but when you see,
but it's 100% ripped off.
And like, we haven't talked about some of the other stuff they ripped off yet, but like, we've already seen a lot of the Evil Dead camera work.
Tons of Evil Dead. And we're about to get the Seema turns into a full on Deadite here in a second. Yeah. I mean, we're an hour in and we've already gotten, like Steve said, a little bit of that crazy, like spastic all over the place, camera movement as a la Evil Dead, and especially Evil Dead 2. But now we see Seema and she's got like no pupils and bleeding eyes and, it's she looks like a Deadite.
And just like another thing we talked about how,
and again, this is 1 minute after a booger got.
Oh yeah, this is also 1 minute after booger whip. But like we're talking about like how they're throwing everything at this film, and where the scene starts in a school and the dream scene kind of ends. It ends in an ice house, which is like another filming location that we like. They have so many filming locations that they put into this, but like we're in an ice house and like she's creeping around the ice and like she sees Seema with no pupils and everything, and then pushes Seema away onto this giant ice hook that takes her away like a Deadite, like Christ.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very Hellraiser / Evil Dead in this scene. And then she wakes up and she's got a burn on her arm.
Yeah, because her arm hit
she's been in class.
Yeah, her arm hit a refrigerated pipe because Sharpan Joe gave her a scare.
Yeah, Sharpan Joe popped up as he does. I would say I actually don't even know, because especially at the end, which, spoiler alert, there's a big climactic scene in an aquarium later. How many times do you think Anita is looking one direction and then looks back the other direction only to be scared by Sharpan Joe in this movie? Like conservatively. If somebody said $1 million if you get within 2, what would your guess be?
I would give it 7 to start.
I would have said 40. There's so many more than 7. I might be over at 40. I'm definitely over. But I would probably say, honestly, because I was counting, there are at least 7 just in the last like 30 minutes.
You know what? You're probably right. Of all the time, all the like the last kind of fights that they go through at the end. Yeah. Okay. 40.
It's legitimately, I would say, honestly, like if I had to really put a guess on it, I'd say probably 15.
Yeah. I mean, it's
which is such a big number.
It's the main thing that they rely on to like get them through the scary moments.
It is almost all the jump scares. And if you include the ones that are not Sharpan Joe and it's like a skeleton or something, then you're at 20.
Yeah. Not a skeleton.
So Anita tells her boyfriend about Sharpan Joe and that, Seema's boyfriend's innocent, and the boyfriend goes and talks to Seema's boyfriend and is just like, no, dog, I don't believe you, basically. Then Anita is walking home and there's another street gang with another boss who has it looks like he created his own widow's peak, like for fashion, on his head. Like he cut his hair into it's not a devil lock because it's just like a couple inches long. It's like he cut it into a little faux widow's peak. Like he's going as Dracula for Halloween.
Well, no, that's actually not even the boss. That's the underling. The boss is the fat one.
Oh, you're right. Is it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, it's pretty much throwaway because they're only in here for one, maybe the wildest scene of the movie or sequence of the movie. because now we have another threatened gang rape. Again, just that's normal in this movie, apparently. And then you get this entirely separate Ernest bit, the whole Jim Varney thing, where you know how Ernest used to just snap into that character where he was John Wayne, basically. Now, it wasn't a whole nother character. It's not like when he put the neck brace on and, dressed in drag. It was just, he would just do these little monologues where he would become John Wayne.
Yeah, it's just serious Ernest.
Yes, this is like that, except for there is a whole costume. And so you get this whole like Ernest meets the Clockwork Orange bit where Canteen shows up and he's in a completely different outfit with a fake beard and this like bangs that he keeps having to like blow out of his face. That's like part of the gag. And he's some sort of like Shaft like crime fighter badass, but the whole thing's kind of a joke.
It's definitely a reference.
There's got to be some cultural reference that we don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a reference to something we don't get. But he is absolutely parodying some sort of, like hero, some martial artist hero that like
he's got an all black leather suit with like some white designs on it, but then he's got like these little discs that are almost like chainmail, but it's like if they were little symbols on his arm. And that it's kind of like Kung Fu Hustle a little bit, where the guy who has the rings on his arm, the curtain rings, the curtain rods. But it's just like a little bunch of little symbols. And you can clearly tell it's some sort of like cultural reference, because they even say later, like, oh, he thinks he's whatever. And not the name, because he keeps over the top doing this little pose and saying, I'm whatever. And I forgot to write it down. I couldn't even pronounce what he kept saying. But then when they go back and you realize this was all just a fantasy in Canteen's mind, I guess, or maybe it happened. I don't know. It's hard to follow. But they're like, oh, he thinks he's so-and-so. And they say a man's name, like an Indian man's name.
What it was supposed to be is because previously, I believe they're talking about going to the movies. So I think what this scene is supposed to be is Anita and her friend are coming home from the movies when they're assaulted by the gang. And then they try to gang rape them in the bingo hall in front of a bunch of other people, which whatever.
Yeah.
But I think what they're trying to say is Canteen was also at that movie and they were all watching the movie of this guy. And now he thinks he's that guy after the movie.
So this really happened.
This scene really happens. He really does save them from gang rape.
I thought it was his daydream.
No, it's not a daydream. It's just he's retelling the story. Like when we
and he's dramatizing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I see. I'm pretty sure they say like he actually got his ass kicked for trying to stop the gang rape, but he did stop it.
But they're all laughing. Like, remember that time when we almost got gang raped for the second time this week? Nice job trying to save us, you fat turd. Like you're like, this is all very concerning, and you guys are laughing like it's not.
He is so upset after because the one woman who was there, like, getting attacked. Anita says, like, he gave those goons a good kicking. So, like, he did beat him up, but, like...
Apparently he did. Yeah.
But, like, not in the cool way he thought he did.
Yeah, I guess, because he... he throws, I'm going to say, well, luckily there's a table for every single goon, because he throws every single one of them through a different table. I would say you probably see a good at least 8 people go through tables in this sequence in slow motion, most of them. It just goes on for a long, long time. And like I said, everyone's just laughing about it.
And you know what? We're wrong. Anita wasn't in this scene. She wasn't one of the ones being gang raped.
Who were
just nobody we know, because I'm watching it back again, and oh really? It's just two random people, and then friends, like after they come out of that sequence, it's the woman who says he gave him a good kicking isn't Anita, because he gets up and he goes and sits in between Prakash and Anita and Prakash just start laughing at him.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's when he tries to get. The whole thing becomes very, because all these scenes are just shoehorned in to justify this, this comedic actor that's in there. So it becomes very. It dilutes the already bonkers storyline so much that you start to not understand what happened and what didn't actually happen, because there's so much there's so many dreams, but then there's also daydreams, and there's also like funny bits that may or may not be part of the story, and it's just really hard to follow.
It's just also confusing because you don't know. There's so many scenes that don't include Anita, who is obviously the focus of the film, but they don't include Anita and they don't include Prakash, and they're just centered around this comedian. Like you go, oh, wait, who else is in this scene?
And it's always like dark at night. It's just, but anyway, in the meantime, snap back to reality here. And, it's getting, you go to Seema's boyfriend's in his jail cell still. It's getting foggy in the jail cell. And you know what that means. That means one Mr. Sharpan Joe's lurking around somewhere. Like I said, he almost at this point is like, when you see him really close up in like a more well lit setting, he looks like a cross between Frankenstein from the Hammer movies and like one of the characters, or like an extra from Nightbreed. Yeah, a little bit. And he claws holes in the wall of his cell, and snakes come out. Because snakes. And it's actually like they actually pulled it off pretty well. It doesn't make any damn sense, but they pull it off pretty well. And it's just snacks on snacks on snacks. They come out, they kill him, I guess, by like laying on him. You don't actually see them bite him. So you're like, did he get scared to death? You don't see a snake bite him, but he is covered in snakes. And
it's a lot of king cobras.
It's a bunch there is so many snakes in this movie. You almost wonder whether the fog guy and the snake guy are the same thing, because they got a hot deal on fog and snakes.
Yeah, they got a lot of snakes. Like they had a snake hookup, and I'm wondering. I mean, I have a running theory that like this actor, Param, the actor who's playing Param, actually died.
Param is Anita's boyfriend, by the way.
Seema's boyfriend.
Or Seema's boyfriend. I'm sorry. Param and Prakash is Anita's. Prakash is Anita's boyfriend,
But Param is covered in snakes, and there's a lot of king cobras, like far more than Indiana Jones. And I'm half wondering if he just died in this scene, and like he was actually
in real life.
Yeah, like he was some sort of criminal, and like they have a justice system where like if you can survive the filming of a movie, you get to go free. Because
it's Indian Squid Games.
Yeah. And he just like, they're like, okay, here's your final scene. And he's like, oh, that's a bunch of king cobras. They're like, yeah, well, if you survive, you go free. And then he didn't, because he got bit by a bunch of snakes.
Oh man. It is. There's probably conservatively like 50 snakes in the cell.
Yeah, there's just like a shitload. Like he's covered in snakes, and then there's a bunch of snakes.
I'd say a wheelbarrow of snakes. Yeah.
Just a real grain sack of snakes that they just threw on the ground.
They were like, hey, put the fog down for Stick. Bring a bag of snacks. And he just picks up a fucking 55-pound grain bag that just on it is crudely written sack of snacks.
Yeah. It's just written hiss.
Oh man. So yeah, Anita tells Papa about, hey, you got to go save him. He's in his cell with snacks. And then he just slaps her.
Yeah.
And which is, again, they're just like, oh, well, that's, old movies, people just slap women in the face when they're being hysterical. Like that's a trope.
Yeah.
This was 94. And it's just like they treat it like it was 54, which was, obviously as disturbing when it happened back then. But that was like a movie trope, is like, that's what, like they even, do it for laughs and like, the Naked Gun and stuff. Like, this woman's being hysterical, better slap her.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's the whole airplane scene in Naked Gun where they're just, in Airplane,
Oh, it's an Airplane, not Naked Gun.
I think they do it in a Naked Gun as well, but no, it's Airplane. That's the one.
A similar bit.
Yeah, it's the one in Airplane where like everybody's lining up to beat the woman to get her to stop.
Get her to stop screaming, right? So, but then he gets a call immediately on the police phone, and they're like, "What's going on? What's going on over there?" And they're like, "Oh, he got snagged."
Yeah,
and he's like, "Dun dun dun!" Like he knows that she's got that something is afoot at this moment.
Yeah.
So Anita's boyfriend follows Papa into his room, where he finds him just admiring a Freddy glove in a drawer. And then they're just like, normally this is where he's like, I can explain. And they're like, no. And they drag him away. But no, they just let him explain everything out. And he's just like, he basically explains that, when Sharp Hand Joe, was kidnapping, when he was doing Sharp Hand Joe stuff, he explains he was, killing kids and just, being Sharp Hand Joe, doing average Sharp Hand Joe stuff. He kidnapped their daughter, which you knew this was coming. The one that died 7 years ago. And then in a flashback, you learn his name, which is Shakal. I'm going to keep calling him Sharp Hand Joe, but he has like not just like a boiler room like Freddy might. He's got like a whole Indiana Jones set.
Yeah, he's got
with a giant skull that is may or may not be like covered in children's corpses wrapped around it.
It's covered in some sort of like figures that are just like, they're melded into this giant skull that's in front of a bottomless pit. And
then like torture devices everywhere, like medieval torture devices.
And then there's candles everywhere. And then he has like a big cross for sacrificing children on. And then you get a full on yeet of a child down a hell well.
Yeah. He just goes, let her go. Papa's like pleading for his daughter's life. And Sharp Hand Joe's like, yeet.
Yeah.
He just throws her down a glowing red well, never to be seen again.
And it's funny because we're in this flashback and it's a flashback because Papa doesn't have a mustache.
Yeah. That's how you can tell it was 7 years ago. It's before he really let himself go and still irons his suit, but had him, now he's grown a mustache.
Yeah.
So he's troubled. And then Papa beats his ass with a flaming stick and then buries him alive.
Yeah.
And, like the whole time Sharp Hand Joe is just, just like, it's not full Krusty the Clown, which is what I'm doing. Right. It's not that, but it's halfway between Freddy and Krusty the Clown.
Yeah. It's also not that menacing. And
all. It's more silly.
I think this is like the biggest failing is that Sharp Hand Joe in this film has no character. He doesn't
no lines. Yeah. He doesn't call anybody a bitch.
Yeah. like there's nothing interesting about him. He only just laughs and I guess does magic.
And then they keep doing the Dracula eyes though, where they zoom in on his eyes. They keep doing that. The universal Dracula Wolfman, zoom in on the lit up eyes. But yeah, Sharp Hand Joe thinks it's really funny that he's being buried alive. He's just in there cackling. It's also very windy that day.
It's very windy, but that's what
for some reason.
Well, that just happens when you fuck around with magic. We've seen that in the Boxer's Home, and it gets really windy.
Yes, that's a Hong Kong movie thing for sure. It's like when magical shit's happening, it's always windy. I don't know why.
Very windy. Just magic happens.
But the glove is just like haunting him to the present day. He talks about he'll just grab his liquor bottle off the shelf and the glove's just behind it. Like, ha!
I've been here the whole time.
Yeah. So Prakash and Papa go to see where Sharp Hand Joe is buried, and birds fly at them. I don't know. This is such a weird throwaway scene. They dig him up. It's also windy. It's windy that day, so some magic's going to happen. And then there's just a bunch of snacks in the coffin. Again, like a million snacks in the coffin. No Sharp Hand Joe, just snacks.
And and here's the thing: is that Papa didn't do a good job of fucking burying him because when he overturned the coffin into the grave, it didn't fit. So
and then he just kicks it.
Yeah, he just kicks it and then scene cut. So you just assume he left it that way, which is why Sharp Hand Joe was able to escape.
Yeah, but like the chains are still on it, so you're like, you think there's something supernatural, but also apparently snacks are the supernatural part. I don't know. But they close the coffin, and then this is maybe one of the most confusing parts of the movie. They close the coffin because, again, full of snacks, and then it explodes.
Yes.
Or two parts of the ground near it explode.
Yes.
And then it's all, Sharpan Joe just cackling. And then either Sharpan Joe starts just spamming them with grenades, or he called in the fucking air support because it's platoon in the graveyard now. And there's just explosions everywhere, and they're just running from random explosions.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, Sharpan Joe only has 2 kills, so I don't know how he got this kill streak going, but he definitely is just dropping bombs all over.
He has at least a 5 kill streak going because he just fucking carpet bombs the graveyard. But then they run, I'm going to say 60 yards from the grave, and the explosions stop. And then they just kind of look at each other and are like, well, glad we got out of that. Like they were almost expecting if they got too close, he would try to carpet bomb them.
Right.
It's just, it makes, it might have been the most baffling part of the movie.
They also just leave a fire burning unattended, like a big fire.
They do.
Like a big fire.
A big one. Yeah.
They just leave it. They're like, well, we did our duty of finding out that was full of snakes and he's probably still alive. And we're not going to acknowledge that later either, that the evil demon magician is actually still alive. We're just going to not believe Anita.
Sharpan Joe maybe is just the Indian equivalent of Smokey the Bear, and he's just pissed because they're out here starting forest fires. And he just wants them to repent. Smash cut to Anita is attacked by Freddy when she's driving. A whole nother chase scene ensues. There are so many, because this is another one of her looking the other direction, and Sharpan Joe startles her, and they do, I would say, 2 hours and 13 minutes. We're averaging one music sting every 40 seconds, I think, in this movie. It is music sting after music sting, so much so that between the really high-pitched vocals in the songs, the insane amount of music sings, the crazy loud over-the-top music in the background, this movie is just like a sonic fucking bombardment.
And it's of like every type of music too. Like there's no uniformity to it, because like we're talking about, like when they go to the beach party and when they're at school and whatever, all of that music is for those films. This is 3 different fucking films. So all the music is for those films. And it's only when Sharpan Joe shows up that you actually get like the Nightmare on Elm Street knockoff music. And this is the only time you get a horror soundtrack is when he's around. Every other time it's movies for action films and romance films.
Well, and sometimes it's there is just literally just like, Halloween 5 type fucking shit when the comedy's happening. But the other thing that's interesting too is like, you don't just get the Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff music. You also get some very even Kate kind of said at one point, she was like, wait, it sounded like it was Psycho for a second, or The Bird. Like it was very Hitchcockian for a minute, the music. It's just like, it's like somebody spent some years in the United States watching a bunch of classic, 60s, 70s, 80s horror movies, had a list of things they wanted to rip off and said, I'm going to cross every single thing off this list before this fucking movie wraps.
Yeah. I mean, like even at the end of the film, there's a music cue that sounded a lot like the Terminator for a minute. It's specifically when Sharpan Joe loses his legs, but there's a
we're not there yet, guys. We're an hour away.
Somehow we're an hour away from Sharpan Joe losing his legs.
I don't know how to tell you guys. We're halfway through this movie. Kate went to bed at one point and was like, she was like she was thinking about going to bed. She goes, how much is left? Like, I'll stay up if there's 20 minutes left. There was an hour and 20 minutes left.
It's insane how, like, it's insane that they're an hour in, they figure out who's doing it, why it's happening, and there's still an hour more of this fucking movie.
Well, I'm going to jump ahead because we already talked about some of the things already, but Anita, this is when Anita gets chased into the city aquarium. And this is the part that I talked about where she just keeps getting jump scared and doing the looking behind her as she's running and then turning just in time to run straight into Sharpan Joe. Like it happens at least a half a dozen times just in the aquarium over and over and over again. And then this is when I paused to pee and I hit pause and I realized there's fucking 40 minutes left in the movie. And I was like, how could there possibly be 40 minutes left in this movie? Everything that's happened has not only happened, it's happened 3 times. And like, I thought the aquarium was spiraling towards the climax, but no, we're 40 minutes left at least. But again, it's rehashing a lot of the same things. So Freddy splashes water at Anita and she wakes up in bed with the doctor and her parents, and she's got slashes on her back. And they're just like all, everything's fine. And, hey, she just needs some sleep or whatever. So like they know what's happening, but they just keep forgetting. And then this was worth it because I almost at 40 minutes was like, I got to watch the rest of this tomorrow. Like, I'm so sick of this movie and just watching every scene. But then got me right back on board when they go to a temple and ask an albino priest about what they should do about Sharpan Joe. And he knows everything that's happening with Sharpan Joe. He has all bad news for them. He's just basically telling them he gonna kill you. He gonna kill you. He gonna kill you. And then basically he just says like, if you're gonna kill him, you got to dismember him. Yeah.
And then you have to dismember him and then attack him relentlessly is what my subtitle said. And I was like, okay, what's that mean?
Same. Yeah, same. He was very vague. He did say you got to dismember. So at least he gave a little bit of thing. And then immediately I was like, this is an Evil Dead. This is an Evil Dead.
I was like, I hope there's a wood chipper at the end.
Yeah.
The other thing he said, which I just wrote down because I was like, well, that's a lot. But he's telling them about how they're all in for a bad time. And then he says, if you beat someone you're supposed to French fry, you're going to have a bad time. You're all in for a bad time. And this time is going to be called the time of death. And then he says, after that's going to be followed with destruction. Mass destruction. I was like, well, that's just a hat on a hat. How do you go from the time of death to like more destruction? I mean, they're already dead. How do they care?
That's what I mean when I say this guy had nothing but bad news. He was a real downer. This albino priest.
I don't know why. But I just thought it was like, this is almost a Will Ferrell character.
I thought it was Will Ferrell, or to me, I thought of like the South Park guys. I just thought of like they would put that guy in a movie for sure. This weird, like, he wasn't an albino. He looked honestly like what's the character, Dr. Zaius or whatever from
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, because he had the similar hair, where it was like a ring of, he had a beard, but he had like this ring of blonde hair around his head. It was just really weird. He's not albino, but he's
not albino, but like you can tell he's a black-haired individual that has dyed all of his hair like this golden orange.
Really golden, deep golden. Yeah, it's such a strange scene. And this is what I'm talking about. Then go to the next scene. Anita is attacked in her dream again. Papa goes and hammers some booze again. Like they're just rehashing the same things over and over again. It's like one of those things where they just didn't leave good enough alone. They kept having ideas that they felt like they had to shoehorn in. And then you get what you think is going to be the final showdown between Papa and Sharpan Joe. Nope, just kidding. Throws a bottle of booze at him and he just fucking bails. But then JK's back and he's creeping into Anita's room. Like he's just like walking around the house and they just going from room to room harassing people. It's like the fucking, it's like when in the Roger Rabbit video game for NES, we're just going from room to room punching people, like looking in drawers. but now he possesses Anita. So Sharpan Joe possesses Anita by just looking at her really hard in the eyes. And she does the Sharpan Joe cackle, so you know what has happened. And then she just goes to college the next day.
Yeah, she goes to school as normal. Like,
yeah, but she's wearing black, and she's got a very solemn look on her face. She knows she's been possessed by Sharpan Joe. But a whole nother fight breaks out, and the boss and Canteen get in on the fight, and along with her boyfriend, and there's a lot of just wild, like really overselling a lot of these kicks. Like they're like everybody who's getting kicked by Canteen, you could tell he was like, the bigger star on set, because every time he gets this little, he's got these little stubby legs and he kicks somebody, and he reminds me of Jack Black because he actually is pretty physical and like athletic, but he's the stubby little guy. And then he kicks somebody and they sell it like it's fucking Rock selling a stunner. Like they just blast off.
Like, yeah, he's got that physicality of Jack Black that like, he's flexible in the hips, but not in the knees.
That's a good way of putting it.
And then also he gets nunchucks. So
yes,
Canteen is loaded.
He's got the chucks. He starts chucking them. Then pause for an extended nightclub song and dance number.
Which again, like I couldn't figure out so the nightclub scene definitely has Canteen dressed as a 1940s gangster, and it has the boss in it.
Yes.
Is the woman in this scene, is that Anita?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so either, because like but they do a Sharpan Joe. What confuses me is, so they do this long extended dance scene, and at the very end, she does turn and like gives the Sharpan Joe eyes to the boss.
Yeah. I missed that. If she did, I missed that. But she is there, obviously, because then the next scene is when he goes outside and sees Anita out in the rain and gets her to get into his car.
Yeah.
So it might have been Anita.
But she's dressed completely different. I'm thinking I'm just getting confused by the editing, because so like the woman who's dancing, she has like these specific braids in her hair, and then you get a cut to Anita turning and looking with the Sharpan Joe eyes, and she has the same. The woman dancing is not Anita, but Anita has the same braids in her hair. But when the boss picks her up off the road, she's dressed completely differently. She is, and I took it as it wasn't Anita, but I wasn't paying that close attention, because it was just like, why do we have another music? Why do we have another fucking whole music number in here? But in any case, they go outside, and the boss is hammered, hopping in his car to drive home, and Anita's just standing in the rain and like waves him down, and the boss, again, remember, he's been sexually assaulting and or trying to rape Anita, and has told her, she's like, why are you in love with me? I don't like you. And he's like, I'm not in love with you. I'm in love with your body. I'm going to have it. And he's just like been a general, just fucking full on rapist the entire movie. And then all of a sudden, he thinks that all of this, him being an asshole and doing all this horrible things to her, she's just given in and is like, no, I'm in love with you now. So they get in the car, they go back to his house. He's just bebopping around there. He's on cloud nine. He thinks, everything's finally working out his way. They're gonna bone, all this stuff. But then she teleports inside his waterbed. Hell yeah. And then Sharpan Joe jumps out, pulls him into the waterbed, which is and you could tell this was their big fucking scene. This was the thing that they really logistically worked so much harder on this than they did on any of the other kill scenes, because it was the bad guy,
not the non-supernatural bad guy, the asshole bad guy, the boss, finally getting his comeuppance from Sharpan Joe, but in the form of Anita. And he pulls him into the waterbed, but then they do this whole camera trick where you're looking at her, like Anita / Sharpan Joe, Anita possessed by Sharpan Joe, inside the waterbed, looking up at the boss. And it's like this, you could tell this was like their big scene. This was their money scene.
This was, we can't figure out how to do the Johnny Depp blood fountain.
Right.
But we'll do this other thing with the bed. And by other thing, we mean we're going to put our actors in danger by putting them inside of a waterbed that they...
you could tell she was holding her breath.
Yeah. Like, she's holding her breath. And like, she's also like got her face pressed up against the plastic. And it's like, okay, don't die in there. Bye. Roll camera.
Yeah, hope we can get you out. Hopefully you don't forget what the sign is that you're dying. Yeah. It felt like a magic trick for sure. Some sort of like stage act magic trick. But then I think the idea, and I didn't even think about that. You're right. This was their blood bed fountain scene, but they know they couldn't pull that off. So they just pulled him in to the bed, and then he gets basically murdered off screen inside the bed. And then they just shine red lights up through the water and make it look like it is all blood.
Right.
So they thought it was going to look really graphic and bloody, and there just would be like an unbelievable amount of blood. And I'm sure the origin of the scene, when they were kind of, going through ideation of like what shots they wanted to do, someone sold this scene really hard and was like, we're going to make a whole water bed full of blood.
Right.
And they were like, fuck yeah, dude. And then it just doesn't work at all.
It's one of those things like where maybe they didn't have a copy of Nightmare on Elm or the copy of Nightmare on Elm Street they had.
You're right.
Didn't have that in it. So they had somebody,
like it was taped from TV.
Yeah. So they had somebody in America explain it to them over the phone. And they're like, and like his whole bed turns into blood. And they're like, okay, we can do that.
And then they just go, did you hear that? Did you hear that, Travis? And he's like, bed is full of blood. Yep, got it. And then
right.
then those notes were their Bible after that.
Yeah, whatever copy of Nightmare they were watching, like it nixed that Johnny Depp scene, but they noticed he was dead, and they're like, how does Johnny Depp die in that? They called a studio.
And they're like, oh man, it's fucking awesome. There's just blood everywhere. It shoots. Its whole bed's full of blood. And they're like, oh, okay. Bed full of blood. Got it. We can do that.
They talked to an intern at they talked to an intern at New Line Cinema.
No, I like it better that it's an intern at Nightmare on Elm Street that picks up the phone and goes, whoa, Nightmare on Elm Street. This is Travis. We can help you.
Well, this is Travis on Freddy's Dead.
Oh, yeah. So, guys, I'd like to say that's the end of the movie.
Still
it's not. The hotel guy's back.
He has a new character.
He's got a whole new character. Is it?
Yeah, it's a third guy. It's a third guy. This is a third one because the running bit we didn't explain earlier, but the running bit is Canteen and the hotel manager.
Oh, it's supposed to be a yeah.
Canteen and the hotel manager are half brothers because their dad was a traveling salesman who used to bang all up and down India. So now we get introduced to this third guy who's Bengali, and his father had been up to Bengal and banging up there. And now we have this third, and like, this is another note I had. I was like, we are now an hour and 55 minutes into your 2 hour, 12-minute film. What perfect time to introduce a brand new comic relief. Let's break every bit of tension that we've fucking built up, because this character is fucking running his spiel at Prakash and Anita, and they're laughing it the fuck up as if like
that's the thing. That's the thing, is they're cracking up. Like, they are just, boy, did we need that. We really needed this silly bastard to come out here because we've been going through some shit. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he's another brother, but he looks so much like the hotel brother.
Well, you can tell the difference because he doesn't have the Hitler mustache.
Did he? I didn't even notice.
No Hitler mustache on the third brother.
but he does have the little part in the hair.
Yeah.
That's probably when I saw that and was like, oh, it's the same guy. Anyway, he does go through and he's like, he's basically, he talks about how, oh, but you're a different nationality. I don't know. You're right. Yeah, that makes more sense than honestly, at this point, I was checked the fuck out on this guy. I was just like, why are you bringing him in on this? It's so, so it's like at this point, Anita and her boyfriend, like, and even the parents, like, everything is hunky dory, but nothing has been resolved.
Right.
So they're just acting like, oh, so Sharpan Joe's dead and everyone's feeling good. And I guess we're back to normal. But again, nothing had been resolved. Yeah. Just the boss got killed. That's all we know. That's the only thing that's changed since all the craziness. Anita goes upstairs to wash her face because they're just having a fun little gathering with their parents.
Yeah, they're
and their
getting
boyfriend.
ready for dinner.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, we're making a favorite. Like, it's just really, it's tonally, I can't say this enough, all over the place. She removes the towel and she kind of sort of looks like Sharpan Joe for a second in the mirror.
Yeah, she's got Two-Face makeup on.
Yes. Yep. So she looks the one way and you see her face is all fucked up. And then now all of a sudden, all the hands, Sharpan Joe hands, come out of the wall, which, did it drive you nuts that he only had the knives on 4 of his fingers?
Yeah, I mean, hey, they're trying to do whatever they're trying to do.
There's no thumb knife, but he does and you guys can't see this, but he does the Freddy finger roll thing for style almost as many times as they do fucking music stings.
And then anytime all the hands show up, all the hands do it as well.
They all do it. They all do the little finger roll thing that Freddy does, but there's no knife on the thumb, which is strange. But they all come out of the wall a la Day of the Dead.
Yeah, they do the Day of the Dead jump scare because they have Anita looking into the mirror as if she didn't believe what she just saw. Yeah. And then she gets real close and they do the exact jump scare with the calendar at the beginning of Day of the Dead.
Yeah, but it's like a poster.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, Sharpan Joe's everywhere in the house, snatches Anita, pulls her into I guess it's a poster. And now she's on the sacrificial slab in, Freddy's little dungeon. And, just like her dead sister was, same room and everything. And then she's getting beaten by an invisible attacker is just wailing on her for like a long time. And it gets kind of funny. But then the parents and the boyfriend just bust in. You don't know how they got there. She got there because she got sucked through a poster. How the fuck did they get there? They just run up like they were knocking on doors and this just happened to be the third house they got to.
Yeah, like we have no idea where this is.
Right. It's not like it's in a cave on the outskirts of town or in an industrial part of. No, this is just, as far as we know, this is a completely dreamland.
Yeah, but like the father knows how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Papa knows how to get there because it's the same place that he saw his youngest daughter yeeted into the hell well.
You're right. Yeah, he does. He knows where it is. You're right. Yeah,
but it's just us as an audience. We have no fucking idea, like, where this exists.
Is it in a warehouse? Like, yeah, there's never any travel time. There's never any having to discover it. But Dad takes a Sharpan Joe glove to the arm, and then the boyfriend just punches Freddy in the face maybe 20 times while Freddy laughs. Yeah, I keep calling him Freddy / Sharpan Joe. You know who we're talking about. And so now we get the climactic fight between the boyfriend and Sharpan Joe. And meanwhile, the parents and Anita are doing not a singular fucking thing. They're just watching it like it's a fucking, boxing match between the two of them. And then at the last second, right when he's about to get killed, the boyfriend, he throws this like ceremonial axe that's hanging on the wall right into the back of Sharpan Joe's head. And then the boyfriend like runs him through with like a pike. And it's just like, it's a non-factor. He's just like, it doesn't hurt him even a little bit. So he does the glove roll, honestly, just in this sequence 10 times at least, at least 50 times in the whole movie. And then eventually there's a guillotine, but it's not a guillotine because it doesn't have like a place for you to kneel down. It's just like a big old, as I recall, like blade on a string, pretty much. It's a guillotine of sorts.
It's an express guillotine because it's enough for like 3 or 4 people, really.
Maybe that's what it's meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he just cuts off. She lures Freddy into the guillotine, cuts off his legs, and they have what looks like I would assume a real amputee then to like play Freddy while he's crawling on the ground. No.
I think he kind of just stuffed his legs up, and like he has
so little at the bottom.
I know, that's the thing. There's so little at the bottom because they don't know how to stuff it properly. They like I think his real legs are underneath him, and then
underneath him. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably right. Again, at this point, I was so stoned and so tired and so confused and so angry. And then they then do the closet scene from Halloween, basically in a cell, like where she crawls into a cell and then he's got her in the cell and he's like slashing at her, kind of like Michael, slashing through the the closet at Jamie Lee Curtis. And then the boyfriend drops the fucking spikes on him. There's like, cause there's all this medieval devices and he's like cranking it, but he's not cranking it in a way to like pick it up and drop it on him. He's cranking it in the direction you would need to go to drop it. So physics should be working in his favor.
Right.
But they're not. He's having to push incredibly hard to release the chain rather than pull more, he's just trying to give the chain slack. You would think that you just release a pinion or something and then it just
should
drops.
Have a release lever.
But no, he's got to crank it open, like to let out more chain, which doesn't make any sense because it's just on a spool. But anyway, he crushes him with some spikes, and you get the whole like Wicked Witch of the East shot with his bloody glove under the spikes, and then before, and I again, just in the most aggravating fashion, at the end, the dad looks up at, I think, the skull, right?
He looks up at the skull, and then like it's
the
actually
big ceremonial
a part.
Skull.
Yeah, it's actually a part of the skull, which is one of those bodies we were referencing before.
Yeah, and he
that
looks
is
up
like
at
attached to it. Yeah,
and it's like it's definitely something they were intentionally trying to get you to notice, but I don't know what he was looking at.
It's like he's looking at both daylight coming in and just like this body that's posed that's a part of the shrine. Right. And it's like, is that supposed to be the young daughter?
That's what I thought, but it looks like an adult body.
Yeah. It
looks like an adult man's body.
Is it just like he's supposed to be happy about the daylight, or just like, and why would he be happy about the dark magician shrine? Like that doesn't make any sense. Which
I don't know.
Two other things that aggravated me about this scene is one.
By the way, this is the end. Like as soon as he does that, it pops up the end.
Yeah, it just comes out of nowhere. It's like, and the end, and it's over, and everybody's happy. Yeah. But like we end on the father as like the focus of the end.
The prick, the absolute prick who wouldn't believe his daughter, who slapped her around. Like he sucks and should have died.
That caused the whole thing by fucking with
the whole thing.
We end on him. But the two things that aggravate me about this are, one, we can clearly see that the dark magician Sharpan Joe wears fucking blue jeans.
He does. He wears a nice whole pair of dungarees when he does his killing.
And two, we spend all this goddamn time with musical things and dance numbers, and they don't do a fucking dance number on the bed of nails on top of Sharpan Joe.
I know. How great would that have been? You fucking rat fucks. Yeah, it's just, I honestly, 2 hours and 12 minutes in, and when it said when the movie ended, I half expected it to just pop up and say intermission. Like I really was like, this is never going to end. This is going to keep going forever. And now I'm in Sharp Hand Joe's world. He's in my dreams, and this is how he's torturing me.
We've all been tricked.
Yeah. I just thought it was going to keep going forever. Like I have not appreciated silence more than when I shut this movie off in a long time. Yeah. It just is so loud and abrasive, and I was just like, oh, it's done. I've done it. It's like a fucking marathon. But yeah, they just had way too many ideas that they just insisted on putting in, and just like so unwieldy with the script, and just so much happens. Like we were joking when we started, I think I had more notes for this movie than any movie we've ever done.
Same. And it's because we literally are watching 4 different films.
Yeah.
We're watching a comedy film with all the canteen shit. We're watching a horror film. We're watching the romance with all the fucking dance numbers and stuff. And then we're watching an action film because every time somebody is about to get gang raped, there has to be a fight scene after it.
It's like this movie should have been a tight 85 minutes. And instead it was, what was it? 2 hours and 14 minutes or some shit.
Right.
It was just so fucking much longer. And like I said, so much happened. But not only did so much happen, it happened multiple times. Everything that happened more than once.
Yeah. It's like what happens if you turn on Nightmare on Elm Street, but then stop watching it to go watch something else, and then come back to Nightmare on Elm Street for a little bit.
You just keep watching little, like it's almost, the Nightmare on Elm Street is the commercial breaks to a whole 2 other movies that are simultaneously happening.
Yeah.
If you would have cut those 3 movies up into 3 separate movies and played them simultaneously on 3 different TV screens, it would have been more pleasurable experience. Just and like, more cohesive even.
Like Canteen and his brothers go feet peeping is the short film that should have preceded this.
Canteen, the brothers Canteen in feet peeping.
Yeah. It should be a short film.
Then there was a whole like kung fu, like Hindi remake of like Death Wish or something was in there too. And then you had, a ripoff of some Western slashers. And then you had the fucking, what's it called? Who's the couple that did all the beach party movies?
Yeah, Frankie and Annette.
Yeah, Frankie Valli and Annette. What's her name? Funicello. Yeah. This is the other movie. So really, it was 4 movies. Yeah, in one. It was just
And anyway, it feels like so when The Rock makes a movie, everything in that movie is in service of The Rock.
Yeah,
it feels like this movie was in service of 4 people at once. Because they had to sell Anita as a romance and sex symbol, sell Prakash as an action hero, sell Canteen as the comedian, and so like they have to answer all these people, and then also sell Papa as like the serious dramatic actor.
Unfortunately, only 2 of those things worked a little bit.
Yeah, Prakash is way too doughy to believe is.
Prakash is not even cool or dashing or anything. The dad sucks. Anita's a baddie. All right, she's pretty attractive. She can pull it off, and she acted her ass off. And Canteen is genuinely pretty funny.
Yeah.
So 2 of the 4 things, if it would have just been 2 of those things, would have been a better movie.
Yeah, just 2 of them. Just wiping boogers, feet peeping, and Sharp Hand Joe. Keep it simple.
Keep the KISS method, guys. Keep it simple, stupid. That's all you need. Feet peeping, Sharp Hand Joe, Canteen doing Ernest bits. That's my dream movie. I can see myself watching this movie again, but I could see myself watching it regularly if it was 1 hour shorter.
Oh yeah, if this was 85 minutes, like you said, but it had all the best bits, that would be
this would be
great.
A fucking classic. I'd own it in 3 different formats if that was the case.
Yeah,
but all right, guys.
I feel like this is a movie I'm never gonna watch again, but I'm gonna like I'm going to think about it. And then I'm also going to remember The Boxer's Omen and then watch that again.
Yeah, you're going to tell people to watch this, but like personally, probably not going to watch it again. It was a fun experience. If we were sitting down drinking and bullshitting, it would be a fun movie to have on the background. But to have to take notes on it, it's just so much happening.
I can definitely see myself watching like more Ramsay Brothers films.
Sure.
Just because I want to see what other wild shit they get into.
I know. I'm definitely going to look up like a list on, Thrillist of the top 10 Ramsay Brothers sci-fi horror movies or whatever and check a couple of those out. But hopefully they're not all fucking 2 hours and 14 minutes or some shit. All right, guys. That was
Mahakaal.
Mahakaal. I keep wanting to put a K after the first H.
Macaulay.
Macaulay Culkin. Yeah, it's about Macaulay Culkin's life. This is actually loosely based on Macaulay Culkin's life. No, from 1994. And I'll remind you, you can watch it on YouTube. Go check it on YouTube. Make sure you get the ones with the subtitles. It is out there. The first one I clicked on didn't have it. And tune back on in with us next week for one more minisode, a bonus minisode for the month of May, because we got an extra Monday. And we will also be announcing our showdown topics for the month of for June, for our Redneck Shenanigans showdown episode in June. So that should be a lot of fun. Anything else we should talk about?
Yeah, June's 2-year anniversary. Get pumped.
Oh, yeah. We'll be on our 2-year anniversary. We will have completed 2 entire damn old years of this here podcast. So if you got any suggestions for movies that we should talk about during our 2-year anniversary celebration in June, throw them our way. We're all ears. So, all right. For the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm still champ. I'm still Steve. I still
Guys,
win.
Think about it. Figure this out. We got to get the fuck out from under this black cloud.
No.
Steve.
No. Lots of fun. Lots of fun to come.